Ann Coulter, best-selling author. You should get her book, In Trump We Trust. You should also get her book, Adios America. That's one of my favorites. It's very relevant right now. And you go to AnnCoulter.com and, of course, follow Ann Coulter on Twitter. Ann Coulter, how you doing?
Fine, thanks. How are you, Mark Simone?
Very good. We had this awful shooting yesterday. Whenever something like this occurs, I go right to Twitter and I see the NRA, the Republicans. But you go back to all these terrible incidents, it's never an NRA member. In fact, almost every case, it's either a mental patient or a Muslim lately. What is going on here?
Another kind of immigrant. There are many immigrant mass shootings. What was funny about the YouTube shooting was, wow, it was being covered like the moon landing yesterday. I went to the gym, and every network, MSNBC brought in Brian Williams, major coverage. Go back to work for a while, turn on the TV. There's absolutely no mention of it anyplace. Like 2 hours later, bam, it's on to Trump and the Russia investigation. Trump. No new news, really boring. And I'm wondering what happened to that. And I'll tune in later. Same thing. Yeah, it's an Iranian immigrant. Great. Or as the New York Times would put it, a white Iranian.
Well, it's interesting. You're right. If it was conservative or an NRA, it would have been nonstop coverage for 5 days. But you're right. As soon as they find out.
An evidence or an example of the famous Coulter rule: the longer it takes to find out who committed a shooting, the less likely it is that it was a white American male.
Has there ever been one of these mass shootings ever where it was an NRA member? I don't think so.
No, it's always some idiotic liberal policy, the biggest one of all, of course, being immigration. I went through by the way, has anyone died other than the shooter in this case yet? I mean, no, 4 were seriously injured.
I don't know.
Okay, well, unless up to, I forget if it's 2 or 3. I think 3 people die. It's not considered a mass shooting because in order to compare these things, you have to be comparing apples to apples. So, no, the point of this was that the media was so excited, hoping it was, just an angry member from Breitbart.com or something, or Milo having his videos suppressed. No, it's another immigrant murder. But anyway, a few weeks ago, I went through all of the mass murders. Pretty much since Columbine, all defined the same way. It can't be, as this was originally reported to be, a girl shooting her ex-boyfriend, a husband killing his family. No, it has to be a public shooting, which this would qualify for, except 3 people hadn't died. Back then, it was 47% committed by people who would not have been here but for Teddy Kennedy's 1965 Immigration Act, which, is important because it starts to look like we have these mass shootings. It does seem, and I am a proud gun owner. I'll mention something about that in another second. It does seem like there are a lot of these mass shootings. Well, okay, what if there hadn't been Fort Hood, San Bernardino, the Pulse nightclub? We still don't know what happened in Las Vegas. Don't know who the perpetrator was, but the one they're claiming it was, highly unlikely. You take all of these out, there aren't that many mass shootings. Even with those in, we have fewer mass shootings in other countries. And the most important statistic, 98% of the actual mass shootings take place in gun-free zones.
Yeah. So you're a gun owner. I'm afraid of you even without the gun. With the gun.
Well, for someone who doesn't drive, moi.
You don't drive?
Well, I'm a terrible driver. Let me put it that way.
Really?
Yeah, whenever I'm in LA, they drive more easily and better than they can walk. Oh. It always occurs to me when people are saying, as they did before various states, Florida, I think, was the first one to pass a very liberal concealed carry law. Oh, you're going to have road rage incidents, and a woman will get mad at her husband. most people have access to and are very familiar with a deadly weapon every single day. If people just lost their temper, I mean, you always hear liberals saying, oh, I just wouldn't trust myself with a gun. Well, you trust yourself with a car. Have you run anyone over because you were in a bad mood? No, it doesn't happen. It's crazy. All these concealed carry laws went into effect. None of the predictions came true. The one thing I was going to say about being a gun owner, I just heard on TV, our favorite channel, MSNBC, right before I called in, this business about Trump not being a target of Mueller's investigation. Yeah, no kidding. But the argument among his lawyers about whether or not he should testify, and that's rumored to be the reason that lawyer dropped out, because he was saying, no, you shouldn't testify. I think Trump should listen to that lawyer, and I heard something that I think most gun owners will immediately recognize as, the beginning of a very, very sad story. The president wants to testify because he's done nothing wrong. As every gun owner will tell you, oh, no. Never, ever, ever talk to a cop. You may think cops are wonderful. I do. I was brought up. Cops are your friends. When I see a cop, I'm happy. I feel safer. I would never commit a crime. I would never shoot anyone unless it was in self-defense. There are a million instructional videos or comments on YouTube. Never, ever, ever talk to a cop. Wait until you have a lawyer. And I have been, like a third-party witness in cases where they weren't even looking at me. You got to have a lawyer there because otherwise they can say you said something that you didn't say.
Yeah. In the end, I don't think he'll ever talk to Mueller.
It would be completely insane.
Yeah.
Also, I wanted to give you a report from MSNBC since you were on air. Stephanie Ruhle apparently doesn't realize that a trade war is not a real war with guns and stuff. She was just talking about the horrible, while talking about the trade war, the horrible bloodshed from World War I and II.
Well, I loved last night when they said the president is not a target in this criminal investigation. All these Jeffrey Toobin fake idiots were on the air explaining, well, he's not a target, but he's still a subject, and that actually puts him in even more legal peril. How the hell is that possible?
I mean, yes, it's obviously true that a non-target can become a target, and that's why you should never talk to a cop or a prosecutor without your own lawyer present, and preferably recording what you're saying.
And then the other thing they said, when he said he's not a target, you'll notice he said currently not a target. Well, everything is currently.
Right. Jeffrey Toobin isn't currently a target.
Yeah, Jeffrey Toobin works at CNN currently.
No, but he's currently not a target of the Mueller investigation, so let's engage in wild speculation of how he might become a target.
Now, the caravan, this caravan coming through Mexico, obviously it's a political stunt to test us. But if you had to pick somebody to test, I wouldn't pick Donald Trump. He'll respond.
From your lips to God's ears, as they say.
All right, you'll get your wall. But in the meantime, he'll send the military.
Okay, this is why Trump's voters were very smart. A military on the border, that's like the Rick Perry solution. They'll see all these military members and run away. No, not if they know what our law is. They'll just step across and say, I'm asking for asylum. And then we'll have all of our military processing them, putting them on buses, signing them up for food stamps and housing, and sending them off to Catholic charities in the middle of the country. I mean, what are they going to do, shoot the illegals? Unless they are doing what Israel does until it had a wall, and even now that it has a wall, and that is build detention facilities right there on the border. You are not taking one more step in. You can turn around and go home, or you're going to stay in these sad little tents. By the way, the Clinton administration did this too, for a bunch of quote, economic refugees. I think it was from Haiti. They set up these tents in Guantanamo, and this is where you're staying until we deport you.
Yeah, economic refugee. You could be from upstate New York and claim that.
Right.
Anyway.
Exactly. But apparently nobody cares about economic refugees who are our fellow Americans.
Well, Ann Coulter, I hate to say we're out of time, but everybody get Ann Coulter's book, In Trump We Trust. And if you're really interested in immigration, get the book Adios America. And the new column comes out tomorrow. You can, or tonight. Tonight. Go to AnnCoulter.com and sign up there, AnnCoulter.com, and follow Ann Coulter on Twitter. And thanks for being with us.
Good to talk to you, Mark Simone. Bye-bye.
Take care.